artists. Welcome to all participants, eminent speakers, our resource persons, to this last day of this International Faculty Development Program, which is jointly organized by GCW Parade, Government College Dhami Shimla, and Cape Comorin Trust. And a big thanks to Sir Regan and especially Dr. Shubra also. So today we'll be having three sessions. So our first speaker will be Sir Deepak Manik, data scientist, Tata Consultancy Service, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, and he'll deliberate upon the topic data ethics, and he'll be followed by Dr. Ronald S. Peckelman, assistant professor, College of Computer Sciences, University of Makati, Philippines. His topic will be research ethics in Philippines. And our third resource person for the day will be Dr. P.R. Ratna Maharajan, social community development and humanitarian worker, Kathmandu, Nepal. And I'm Dr. Ritu Magotra, host from Jammu, along with Dr. Anita Sharma, host from Government College, Shimla. So it really gives me immense pleasure to welcome the chief guest of our day, Dr. Darshana Sharma. In fact, she's a learned educationist, learned scholar, and she has a very extended CV, but I'd just like to briefen it up. At present, she is Professor of Education, Directorate of Distance Education, University of Jammu, and she is serving as a coordinator of B.Ed and M.Ed programs. She has also served as Director, Directorate of Distance Education, Dean Faculty of Education, University of Jammu, and held various other important positions. She was conferred with award of Commonwealth Postdoctoral Scholarship for the year 1991-92. She has served as a resource person in various platforms talking about national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, and much more. She has been a research guide to 8 PhD scholars, and at present, 7 PhDs are under her guidance. 30 MA dissertations, many research projects, 2 books have been published, and much more. If I like start with her CV, so it's going to take lots of time. So I'll just ask ma'am to please address our participants and embark them with your insights. Good evening, Darshana ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Ritu. So nice of you. It is kind of you to speak such a wonderful words about me. I'm thankful to you. As I have been told by Dr. Ritu that this is a faculty development program on the topic ethics in teaching and research, or research and teaching, vice versa. And it is being conducted from 21st of April, and today is the last day, that is the 27th April 2021. So very good afternoon to all the resource persons, participants, organizers of the program. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the organizing committee, especially to Dr. Ritu and Dr. Shubra, for providing me this opportunity to be on this platform with all of you. Since this is the last day, I think you have had fruitful presentations and discussions on different aspects and themes. And there must have been very concrete and fruitful outcomes of your deliberations as well. I have been asked to speak something on research ethics and ethics in teaching. So from my point of view, if I have to say something on ethics in teaching, I will start with the quote of John I. Gouland, who said, "Teaching is a profession laden with risk and responsibilities that requires great deal from those who enter it. I think this very sentence will portray a picture what is demanding of the teachers when they are in the teaching profession. And there is another quote by the Education Commission's chairman, that is a report on education and national development, which says that the destiny of India is being shaped in her classrooms. Out of the quality and the number of persons coming out of our schools and colleges will depend our success in the great task of national reconstruction. Now, that means the shapers of the destiny of the nation are the teachers, and indeed a heavy responsibilities lies on them for bringing the maximum out of the students who are in schools and colleges and in the universities, so that we can have the um, uh, good national development, good national reconstruction. Now, what are professional ethics? If I come to the professional ethics, I will say that professional ethics are a set of self-imposed professional ideals and principles necessary for attainment of professional excellence and self-satisfaction. We have a certain set ideals which we put before us with this desire to achieve excellence in our job and have a satisfaction which we derive out of when working on that particular job. The code of professional ethics is based on two principles. One is professional integrity, and second one is ideals of service to the society. And I think both these principles are very vividly applicable to the teaching profession. Teachers as professionals are engaged in one of the most ethically demanding jobs, the education of young minds. It is necessary, thus it is very essential that they reflect on ethics of their activities, what they do in the classroom, how they do in the classroom, if they are shaping their behavior, how they are shaping, and what are the, you can say, basic, you can say, ideals or behavioral modifications which they have to bring about, so that they put or they exhibit or show before the students the best ethical practices, so that they can be example for those students also. So I will say that the main professional ethics or the obligations before the teachers are, they have the obligation towards the students. Then they have obligation towards parents, community or society, and obligation towards the profession and their colleagues as well. It's not only that they are answerable to themselves only, they are answerable to the students only, but they are answerable to their colleagues also and to the society as well. So for students, what ethical behavior when they are teaching they have to observe, that from the very beginning they must tell them the curriculum or the syllabi which they have to you can say impart, which the students are expected to do, how they are going to achieve, what are the pedagogical practices which they will be doing, when will be the examination, what will be the mode of evaluation. I think there should be clear cut, you can say, explanation to the students, clarity to the students, that they are going to do this and they are going to achieve in this way, and this will be the mode of evaluation, so that they are not in any illusion or they are not doing any, you can say, malpractices and something like that. Then it is very obligatory or ethical on the part of the teacher to treat all students with affection, love, and be impartial towards all, because we are living in an inclusive society now. So they have to be respectful to all without any impartiality, irrespective of their caste, creed, color, sex. What I say gender, I don't speak the word sex, I use the word gender, religion, economic status, and disability these days is very, very, you can say, important thing, and language and place of birth. They have to facilitate students all round development. Not only that they have to focus only on the academics, they have to think that the child as a whole is under our supervision, and it is our holistic response, it is our responsibility to provide holistic, to cater to the holistic development of the child. They have to respect the dignity of the child. That is the respect of the human dignity. Then um, adapts his or her teacher has to adapt his or her practices, teaching practices, according to the individual needs of the students also. That's why there is a role of tutorials. They have to pay extra attention to the weak students, to the underprivileged students. Then they have to maintain the confidentiality of the information concerning students. uh, uh, Such information which is a private information which is at their disposal, they have not to leak that information until unless it is asked for by the some confidential agency. Very important is that they shouldn't subject the child to any fear, anxiety, physical punishment, or abuse, or mental or emotional harassment. um, Next is that um, they have certain obligations to the society also. They have to keep and establish warm, healthy, and trustful relations with the parents and the guardians of the students for their all-round development. It is very, very necessary that um, we say that school and community both coordinate and cooperate for the full development of the child, because the child is coming from home and bringing certain social milieu with him or her. So we need to understand parents point of view also, that how and what they perceive for their children, and accordingly make programs for the growth and development of the children. Keep the countries, we have to keep our country utmost in our mind. Refrain from taking part in such activities which are which spread hatred. The basic point is that secularism, um, and we have to be emotionally and nationally, national integration as well as emotional integration. We have to promote that, and try to bring harmony and peace in the society. um, Based on multi religions, we have a multicultural society, multilinguistic society, multi-religious society, so that has to be respected. And very important thing is that he has some duty, certain ethics towards his profession, her profession, and colleagues. Ethical teacher always keeps on going for his or her professional development. We say that a lamp cannot light another lamp until it keeps itself burning. So it is very, very important that teacher continue. It's not that the degree she or he has got the highest degree, and after that he or she is supposed to just shut his the doors of his mind and not to receive it. He has to be receptive of the new innovations, new developments, new theories which are taking place day by day, and should strive to promote and grow professionally, take participate in you can say conferences, seminars, workshops, and engage himself herself with colleagues also for discussion, for dialogue, for collaboration, for research projects, something like that. And respect the professional standing and opinions of his or her colleagues also. He shouldn't leak out and then complain about in a secret manner about his colleagues and about his subordinates or about his senior teachers. Refrain from making any allegations, I must say, about his colleagues, against his colleagues, to the higher authorities, and should have a good interpersonal, should maintain good interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships, should have a good sense of empathy, which is required at most so far as the emotional intelligence is concerned. These days, we are saying that even if you are academically very sound, you have a good knowledge of your subject. It is very, very important that you should have a knowledge of your subject. But if you are not having emotional intelligence, that mean that is useless. You can't be. You should be approachable, accommodative, good listener, and should have a friendly relations with your colleagues. This is very, very important. Now. He an ethical teacher in teaching is also supposed to maintain confidentiality of information concerning colleagues, and shouldn't dispense such information to any unauthorized person. We are the confidential record keeper of all the confidential data with us, whether it is admission, whether it is whether these are the results we are evaluating also. So that confidentiality and that morality is required. That is ethical behavior which is required on the part of the teachers. Now I'll come to the research. What are research ethics? I think most of the teachers in colleges and universities, that is no doubt NAT and this JRF is one of the criteria for selection of the teachers in colleges and the universities. But most of the people are, after either they join with the PhD degree with the research work, or they are even if they are joining after on the basis of NET JRF, even then they get themselves enrolled in research work for MPhil or PhD, whatever it is, and they do the research because as per the UGC norms, research output is very, very necessary for your promotion. We need APIs, and for that APIs, either we have to do the research because or undertake the research projects because we need to publish, and publication come out only after we do the research work. Now we say that so far as the research is concerned, there are certain ethics which are required. We know that research is an activity which is undertaken to explore the unexplored frontiers of knowledge, to add to information. Research we undertake just out of curiosity also. We have certain problems, and for the solution of those problems, we want to do the research. But I'll say the research is also a professional, you can say, a requirement. We have to do the research from the professional point of view also, because it is a demand of our teaching profession also. So there are certain research ethics which are implied, which are applicable in the field of research so far as the teacher is concerned. That is the honesty, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness. I say along with the rigorous analysis, inquiry analysis, and application of professional standards. Such traits, as I have spoken, that there is a need of honesty, integrity, honesty of thought, and honesty of purpose, and honesty of action. These all combine and make a person, give a person a sense of integrity. Objectivity and accountability is necessary. There are certain, we say that whether we are doing our research project, or whether we are guiding as a research supervisor to our students, we need to observe certain ethical behavior. And we first one is, when we are doing a research, there is a need of free informed consent. We need to, when we are going for the data collection, we need to have a consent from the participants that they are willing to participate in our research, because we are going to seek information from them, and there is a privacy and confidentiality, that there is certain data which nobody would like to share. So that they have the right to privacy that is to be respected. And then comes the confidentiality. Even if you take a data from the research, from the participants, assuring that we will not be asking you any private questions, even then, whatever data you have acquired from the participants, you need to ensure that the confidentiality of that information will be maintained. You are not going to leak that data to any person, and the purpose of that data will be the for which that will be utilized, that is only the research, because you are doing a research which will lead you to the award of degree, whether it is MPhil or whether that is a project PhD, or whether you are doing a particular project. That is very necessary. Then you have to ensure that the sample which you are, even if you are doing a literature review, that is very important, that in most of the researches we have to do with the review of the literature, and whatever literature review you are doing it in an objective manner. And you see that if the results are consistent, or whether you are going to do the duplication of the research projects. You are not replicating the research, but you have to find out the gaps which are existing in the early explored areas, and how you are going to fill those gaps. You have to give the complete justification of the research work which you are going to undertake. No doubt now the UGC has put so many restrictions, and everything is on the Shodh Gangotri, and everything is there, and there's a lot of plagiarism, and there are lot many tools which are checking the plagiarism. But still, students manipulate when they prepare the synopsis, and as a research guide, we are there to just catch them, that how you are doing it. So that awareness on the part of the supervisor as well as on the part of the researcher, you have to give them such a moral grilling that without justification you are not going to undertake any problem. That is both on the part of the researcher as well as on the supervisor. And then the sample which you are going to select, that should be adequate enough to journalize your results, until unless there is otherwise a qualitative research where you need to have a small sample and do the case studies and all that. How you are going to collect a data, that and how you are going to approach an institution without seeking, you can say, permission from the institution where that you are going to conduct a research. You cannot enter the boundaries of any educational institution or any institution from where you have to collect the data. So it is ethical responsibility of the supervisor as well as of the researcher, that he seeks, the supervisor has to give the authority letter to the researcher, and researcher has to produce that authority letter before entering the premises of any institution. So that is institutional approval, which is very necessary. Then there is it is very ethics
Excuse me, ma'am.
demand that the researcher.
Excuse me, ma'am. Actually, we are running out of time. So next resource person is waiting. I request you to please conclude.
I will conclude within 1 minute. So I will say that next very important is that you have to share your data, you have to share your information, and you have to report the results in an objective manner. There shouldn't be any plagiarism, of which I have spoken. And then you have to take the responsibility and credit of the publication only which you have on which you have worked. It's not that principal authorship, other publication credits, others publication credit you cannot take. There should not be duplication of publication data, which I just spoke. And very important is that there should not be any manipulation of data. Most of the scholars, they do that, they manipulate the data. There shouldn't be any inflation of the data, there should not be any manipulation of data, or there shouldn't be any multiplication of data. So the research, I must say, is such an activity which has to be carried out in a very ethical manner, um, keeping in mind the different parameters of the research, whether it is you have to plan, whether you have to select the research methodology, or when you have to just report your results. It's not that results are coming something else, and by way of getting a funding or something like that, you are going to manipulate the results. So with all these, I must say that a teacher has to be an ethical teacher. He or she has to work certain principles and obligations to the society. And as a researcher, you have to be very, very, you can say, objective in your approach, just bringing before the society the facts of your research and not manipulating it in this way or that way. I am very thankful to the organizers of this you can say conference, and especially the Professor Ritu and Dr. Shubhra for providing me an opportunity to speak with you people. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you so much once again.
In, in fact, thanks a lot, ma'am. We really wanted to listen you more, but since we are short of time, so thank you by enriching us with your ideas on ethics in research and teaching. And rightly said that as teachers, all of us, we ought to have model strong character traits. Now, because for the reason that our students, they are going to imbibe us, and rightly said that we have to treat each and every student of ours with kindness, with equality, with respect, without any kind of prejudice. And rightly said, ma'am, that ethics at workplace it's equally important. That is, we as teachers, we have to imply upon professional code of ethics. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you for joining us within such a short notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.